And those certain reason why would be health conditions or injuries. So again, if you worked like at an ammonia plant or something and you had a leak, and then it got into your system and scarred your like lungs, and you'd have to take off some time, then you would use this to help deter those loss of monies. Okay? So if you notice here, this is stated by a percentage of your income. And it depends if you are partially or totally disabled. So again, partially would mean that maybe you got hurt or something on the job, but then you could come back and at least work at a desk job or something. But you wouldn't have your normal job, but you could still be employed somehow. Okay? Or you could go to your job and do it with restrictions, meaning you couldn't lift as much or something like that.
So like, say you get disabled from like the military,
Yep.
like, does the military pay you that, or is it still like government insurance?
That I wouldn't know. They don't. You would have to, I mean, somebody like Kyle would be able to help.
Oh yeah, that's why I asked, because he got 100% disability, so I didn't know if he.
Right, so, but I think that's through the military. So the military would have their own medical insurance kind of. And so that would be the same thing of, like I said, with like a firefighter or a cop or something like that.
It's really bad though.
Right.
It's terrible.
So there's two different kinds of this. There's a short-term disability and a long-term disability. A short-term would be basically is, let's just say, and I don't want to sound this bad, but Wells had an explosion. And it just kind of hit certain areas of it. But Donald worked in that area and he has to now take off three months worth of work. That would still be short-term. Okay, because he's going to come back after he gets over his condition. But obviously, he needs to find a way to pay his bills. So his disability insurance would help that out. There's a maximum amount that can be paid per week or month. And again, this would be in your policy. And then other options that you could use. If you didn't have the short-term disability, you would have to go basically into your savings and start using your own money. Now again, this is probably something that's not real, or it might not even be available at every job. Okay? So then long-term would be talking more about several years. This could actually even go until you reach retirement. So this is kind of what Easton and I were talking about with this guy that we know. He lost his whole life, didn't he? Yeah. So again, this would be bought when you're talking about this long-term stuff through a group plan from your employer. And again, if you would try to do this individually, it's going to be way more expensive. Okay? So you notice here, you may be eligible through the federal government, because then if it's through the federal government, they would start using Social Security money to pay off that stuff. So again, everybody asks, well, why do we pay Social Security? This is one of those things that you could use it for. And you guys would actually be able to use it. Because a lot of us, even myself, probably aren't going to get our Social Security taxes back that have been taken out of our check. Okay? So disability is just going to help you get back on your feet maybe, or just help you deter some costs if it was a really bad and long-term deal. Then we talk about workers' comp. Obviously, this is a little different than what we were talking about in the last one. Workers' comp is if I got hurt on the job. It covers lost wages and medical expenses, again, for kind of basic injuries. So if, like when I worked at the restaurant, if our cook would have sliced their finger, but it was a pretty good thing, and they had to go to the doctor. Workers' comp would be that our company would have paid that medical bill for the hospital visit or whatever. Okay, so that's kind of workers' comp. And then, I don't know if you've gone to the doctor lately, or filled out paperwork for this, but they'll actually ask you, is this a workers' comp claim? And if that's the case, they have to file it on their end a little different. But if you're going to take advantage of workers' comp, make sure you do that right from the beginning. Because if you go through the process and then you want to go back and say, hey, by the way, this was workers' comp, but it's already gone through, it's kind of a pain in the you-know-what to get that process going again. So make sure if it's workers' comp that you tell the doctor or wherever you're at about that right away. Again, it's paid by your employer, and notice here it's required by the state government. Then we'll show a couple of examples to figure out what you're actually going to do, and that's it for disability. Okay? Does that make sense? So let's look at some examples, and then we can work the rest of the time. Notice on Monday, there'll be a quiz after this section. So 3 sections.
One question.
Yeah.
So would you be like on your parents' disability if you're like a kid, just like you're on insurance?
Yes.
Okay. Because I didn't know, like, say like in a football game and like you break your back somehow or something, if like.
I don't think you would go on disability as that, because you're technically not really missing work, or you wouldn't ever miss anything.
So I can tell you that for certain, but I don't think disability insurance would be used in those situations.
So disability insurance, that only for work?
Basically, that you would lose time from being off of work because of some kind of injury or illness. Yes. But a lot of the times it would have to be because of a certain situation too. So, page 286. Letter A, Yan becomes totally disabled. His group disability policy's benefit percentage is 65% of his average annual salary for the last 3 years. So notice this. They're going to use an average or a percentage of what you have made in the past, in this case, 3 years. Now again, this could totally be different from job to job, company to company, how many years it is, what the percentage is. So you got to make sure that you understand this going into it. So the first thing that I have to do is figure out what my average annual salary is for the 3 years. And again, if I'm going to do my average salary, what do I do?
Add them up, divide by 3.
Add them up and divide by however many years that they do it for. Some of them are 3. I think some of them might be 5 in that homework. Okay? So, and then we would do what? How do I find out what my monthly benefit amount will be?
Times by the percent.
Okay, so then I'm going to take that number that I found as my average times 0.65, but then after that I have to do what?
Divided by 12.
Divided by 12 because we want the monthly rate. So again, make sure you answer the question for what they are asking. So do you want to see the work up on the board? Anybody? So, find the average, add them up, divide by 3. That would have been $47,800. Take that times 0.65, which is $31,070, and then divide that by 12. So again, basically they're going to give you 65% of your wage. In letter B, Kelly is injured and is covered by a group disability policy and by Social Security disability insurance. Her group policy pays 45% of her average wages for the last 4 years, less any other disability benefits she receives from other policies. Social Security will pay her $225 a month. If her wages were blah, blah, blah for the last 4 years, what is the total amount Kelly will receive a month from her group policy? So the difference with this is, I'm going to do basically the same thing that I did in A, but then I'm going to take away $225 right away. All right? Because the $225 is you're gonna get the social security part of it first, and then you'll get the rest from your company. Does that make sense, the difference between A and B?
Yes.
You wanna see that on the board? Everybody okay with that?
What's good for the answer?
The answer for B is $1,202.81. Because that, she, I think, should have gotten $1,427.81, but you gotta subtract $225 from her. So basically, you're going to use the social security as much as, or the company will make you use that first. And then they'll cover what they have. Alright? Are we good? Alright, so numbers are up on the board. You got a lot of time yet. Got about 25 minutes.